Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Corporate Volunteering and Social Partnership, Best Practices to Move Forward, organized by Volontare together with our member, GoodUp. I'm Benedetta Falletti, Director of Volontare, an international network connecting companies, social organizations, and academic institutions to strengthen corporate volunteering through collaboration and shared learning. It's a pleasure to welcome Petra Houtkamp from GoodUp, a senior customer success manager. Petra works with corporate organizations to drive meaningful employee engagement. Today, she will share key learnings and best practices from GoodUp's International Congress with concrete examples of partnership and practical insights for corporate volunteering. So Petra, thank you for sharing with us. The floor is yours.
Great. All right. Oh, I might have, should have maybe walked the slides with your introduction. Sorry for that. So that's fine. We're immediately going to start. Thank you so much for joining. I think we have 16 people in the virtual room. So thank you so much for attending today on this rainy day. If you're dialing in from Madrid, at least, although the sun is now out, so that's great. What are we going to do today? I'm going to give you a presentation, an interactive presentation, because I would love to hear from you as well what your experiences are working with social organizations, or if you are a social organization working with corporates. So what I will do today is I'm going to tell you a little bit about GoodUp, because GoodUp is maybe not so known yet in Spain. I have somebody that needs to mute. Thank you. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an explanation who we are, what we do, and what our vision is. I have a few client cases just to give you an insight in how we work together with our customers. And then we move to the topic, which is the cooperation of corporates together with impact organizations. And we see a few challenges there, but we also see, way more important, solutions. And we have a few best practices. I do this presentation in English. I speak Spanish as well, so if you have any questions in Spanish, no worries. I'm just more fluent in English, so feel free to ask in English or ask in Spanish. You're welcome to interrupt me, because I really prefer to have a discussion with you guys than that you just listen to me for 45 minutes and think, oh my God, I'm going to clean up my email inbox. No, I would love that you would interact with me, and so we can also learn from your experiences. All right, to start a little bit interactive, I would love to ask you a question. So use the chat to put it in the chat. And if you're really enthusiastic, you can also go on mute and share your answer directly in the meeting with me. So the question is, what are you most proud of that you have achieved with your social program or CSR program? Or if you are a social organization, what is then what are you most proud of that you did in the last year? I'm going to give you a few minutes to put it in the chat.
Well, I'm really enthusiastic. So
awesome.
And I'm a slow typer. So I think I'll go with saying it out loud. So I'm Diana Perez, a corporate citizenship lead at Allianz, the insurance company, and a very proud member of Volontare and of this community. And I think for us, we piloted a mentoring program around an anniversary, the 135 years of our company. We launched a mentoring program that has turned out, the pilot turned out to be very good and successful. And we feel like we have found a niche that where we bring added value to young people in bringing them to the company and mentoring them in a short-term mentorship or job orientation arrangement. So I think that's probably a highlight for me from last year. And thanks for the opportunity to share.
Yeah, super nice. Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. Mentoring is very popular. today. We noticed that with a lot of customers that they are really investing in mentoring programs for the younger generation. And it also is really nice for employees to teach the younger generation that what they know and guide them a little bit. Great. Anybody else that would like to share his or her greatest achievement? I don't see anything in the chat, so that's not good news. Does that mean that nobody has great achievements this year, or does that mean that you were fully concentrated listening to Diana?
Laura is typing.
Ah, Laura's typing. All right. Educational project for girls in communities in Madagascar with the support of Mexican companies. That is also fantastic. Nice example. Well, you still... Dime.
No, gracias. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for sharing.
Bernardo
All right.
is typing too.
All
Hello.
right.
Well, so good afternoon.
Good
This is
afternoon.
Bernardo from YMCA Spain. So, well, in our case, I would say that last year was we made quite a few milestones when it comes to corporate volunteering, because it was practically the first year that we were working on this area, and then
Yeah.
we had nearly 1,000 corporate volunteer people working with us. And then, 500. And then the beneficiaries was 1,000 direct beneficiaries. So for us, it was like a great achievement.
I can imagine. Yeah, that's fantastic. That means there's a lot of animo in your company.
A lot.
That's very,
Yeah.
very, very nice. Cool.
And I'm proud to announce that YNCA is a new member of Voluntary
Yeah.
Network.
Brand new, yes.
Excellent. That's good news. Great to hear. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. If you think of anything else, feel free to still drop it in the chat and we can come back to it later. In the meantime, I'll continue with the vision of GoodUp. GoodUp is a company started in 2013 as the 1% Club. We changed name a few years after, but the 1% Club was started from the idea that if everybody in the world would spend 1% of its time, its money, its efforts into doing something good for somebody else, the world would be really way more lovelier than it is today. You could say, if you look at the news today, that we might have failed in that, but we did not. There are a lot of good things going on in the world, but we wanted to accelerate a little bit faster in making impact, and that's why we focused for the last 5 to 7 years really on corporate organizations, because they are very big. They have a lot of employees, and we thought if we can mobilize these employees, if we can mobilize corporate organizations and connect them to social initiatives, then we have an enormous source of potential doing good. And we worked it out into a vision. And our vision is: imagine a world where people, companies, funds, and governments can seamlessly direct their time, skills, resources, and money to impact first organizations, so social organizations that need them most, fully measurable. That means that besides our corporate leg, we also work directly with impact organizations, governments, and funds. So those four together, we really think there is a lot of potential in that four-leg collaboration to create impact together. We see a few problems where we hopefully have a solution for, or where we think we can facilitate at least a solution. So the problems that we see in the impact sector is mainly about fragmented ecosystems. So you have the companies on one hand, and the non-profits and the governments, and they're all working on their own way with their own toolings and their own ideas on how to do it, which is great, but it's all very much in silos still. We also see still there's a lot of manual workflows. So that has to do with, okay, I have a project and I need volunteers and I need to match them. And how do I do that? And do I need to reach out to the volunteer and then reach out to social organization. So there's a lot of manual work in it, a lot of Excel sheets still. And therefore those processes can be slow or inefficient. And it's sometimes hard to scale that. If there's a lot of motivation for people and a lot of demand, then it could fail a little bit because there's the scalability is not that great. And then the no shared infrastructure. So again, there's not really one central system. Because everybody works with their own system. And that common layer is missing. And then the last thing, also very important nowadays, is that impact reporting. There are so many ways that you can report on impact, but it's all different. So social organizations do that in a way. Corporates have like different rulings now. Governments have like a different requirement package if we talk about impact. So it's hard to combine that and follow the same path in that. The solution, or at least part of the solution, that is what we try to offer is GoodUp. So we have an operating system in which we try to connect impact first organizations, so social organizations, in the first hand with people. So just people like you and me that have some time to volunteer or have some extra money to donate or have any other idea to do good. And then very important, the companies, the corporate organizations, the governments and the funds, and that all in one unified platform. So what we offer in that are volunteering, donations, payroll giving, crowdfunding, match funding, fund management, and impact measurement. If we then look at our CSR platform, so that's really in blocks, in SaaS building blocks. So we are a SaaS solution. And we divide that in volunteering and challenges. So, and that is skill-based, but also team initiatives or company-wide actions, challenges or small deeds, small acts of goodness that you can do there. And then we focus also for a big part on donations and payroll giving. So like with employer matching, for example, but also gift cards. If I don't know, if you're 5 years with the company and you get some money, you can use a gift card for a social organization, but also the whole tax benefits are part of that platform. And then we have another module which is related to that, which is crowdfunding, that boosts people to really organize an online fundraising, for example, with different campaign toolings and rewards. We offer fund management, where social organizations can actually apply for a fund at a corporate organization. And then the last leg is the impact measurements that we do together with the social handprint that developed like a whole impact measurement tooling based on the SDGs of the UN. That is a little bit what we are and what we do and what we offer. I wanted to highlight a few client cases that are maybe similar to your companies and give you an idea how differently they actually work with their CSR program. So I would love to highlight 4 of them. We have a lot of customers in the Netherlands and in Europe, but we also have a few global customers, like the first 3. So we work together with Mars, for example, Deloitte and DLL. Those are global customers, and they use the software and the services of GoodUp on a global level. And Adlon, for example, is a more European based company that uses the software more in European countries. Just a few highlights of each program. So Mars really is the only platform that we have that is solely led by employees. So the company Mars facilitates the platform and facilitates some content and some communication materials, but it's totally led by employees, by the doing good of employees. So every employee has the possibility to set up an activity, volunteering, skill-based donations, whatever is wanted. And they can set that up, and they can motivate and inspire and recruit their colleagues to join in. And it's fantastic. It works in all regions of the world. Every region does it slightly different, but because it's controlled and really ruled by employees, you see the most interesting activities appear. And the only thing that Mars does itself is extract some reporting to see how it's going and on what kind of topics people contribute and volunteer, but the rest they leave completely to their associates or to their employees, and that's what we call a fully bottom-up platform, totally managed by the employees. A few success factors of this platform is really the fact that it's cross-functional team. So the team that implemented this was not only HR. We see a lot of HR leading these kind of initiatives, but this was a joint effort between marketing and comms and brand and HR, and marketing from like the purpose team. So there is a team within Mars that is responsible for the purpose statement. You see that below Mars X, the world we want tomorrow, starts with how we do business today. That is their purpose statement worldwide. And that team is responsible for activating the employees on that purpose statement. And one of the ways to do that is to give employees the possibility to volunteer, to donate, to work together with social organizations on pro bono assignments, etc. So that was really a fantastic collaboration to really get the platform and the program integrated on all levels in the organization. If you then look, for example, at Deloitte's a company that's very much top-down focused. So this is completely the opposite of Mars, for example. This is run completely by teams in the different countries that have close contact with social organizations and that organize all the volunteer offer that's available is organized by those teams in the countries together with the social organizations. So an employee cannot set up something themselves. They can give a suggestion, but it's not that they can upload activities or organize activities with colleagues. The only thing they can do is really sign up for it. But there's no difference. It's not that Mars is good and Deloitte is not good, or the other way around. It's just a different way of a different culture. And every company works better on a certain way. And this works really, really good for Deloitte. They have very loyal teams and they have fantastic partnerships. They really invested in create good partnerships, solid partnerships, and also long-term partnerships with social organizations. DLL is a little bit more as Mars, so they have a very wide network of global transformers, as they call that. That is their ambassador network. Those are employees that, besides their normal job, are super passionate and super intrinsic motivated for certain NGOs or for certain causes. And they are the ones that set up all the initiatives and activities that are available. And then last, oh no, the upload slide I don't have, so that's great. I'm just going to stop talking for a bit. Maybe there's somebody that has a question on the last few slides. If that's the case, feel free to ask or to raise your hand. And otherwise, I'm going to continue to the next topic. Yes, Diana.
So yeah, I was really intrigued by the Mars Acts, because we're now thinking a little bit about employee-led initiatives and how we could integrate. There's I think some demand for some space that would be bottom up, but I was wondering how Mars has how is there any kind of are there certain criteria or certain themes to somehow limit a little bit the dispersion among many different kinds of ideas, and is there any kind of quality oversight? And just
Great
wondering how
question.
if you have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, they do. So they allow a lot, but they do have a few requirements. So the first is they have selected 3 themes. So they're actually very wide themes, I have to admit, but their 3 themes are people, planet, pets. So that's because they are, maybe everybody knows Mars of the chocolate, but it's actually a very big pet food company next to the Marses and the M&Ms. They are actually known for pet food and nutrition. So they set 3 main themes. So every activity needs to relate back to or pets or people or planet. Now that is still very wide. And then they set a few rules. It's not a lot of rules, but they say, okay, it cannot be political influenced, cannot be religious. You need to at least have 2 colleagues that can join you. So it's not like, okay, just I'm gonna volunteer on my kids' school today for 4 hours. That's also volunteering and it's great, but it's not the corporate volunteering that Mars wants. So it needs to inspire and motivate others to join. So you really need to set up an activity and then invite others to join you. To make sure that you represent Mars, of course, and that you really make an impact together. That is what they have as requirements. And then there is in the system a review feature. So somebody sets an activity up. It's not immediately live on the platform. People can sign up for it, but it needs to be approved by the regional coordinator or the regional responsible person.
Okay, great, thanks. Those are helpful guidelines.
Yeah, sure. Any other questions for now? All right. Then let's go to corporate and impact organizations. As I said, we look at 4 core segments across the impact ecosystem. So companies, funds, governments, and impact first organizations. What we see that impact organizations say about working with companies, so we work with both. So we work with our corporates, but we have a big network of social organizations, just like Voluntare has, and you will probably also have that experience. But we do see that it's sometimes hard to find each other. And if we talk with impact organizations, they often say about corporates, yeah, they are so fast. They just want to get something out of it and then they move on. They are very late with their requests. They can just call 1 week in advance and say, okay, I need a team activity for 50 people, for example. Or they want to work with skills, so they want to offer skill-based volunteer opportunities, but then it's still a mismatch because it's not exactly what they had in mind. And often heard arguments also that they are very PR driven, and they never want to pay, or they don't want to pay for volunteering. Because they think we're coming with 500 corporate volunteers, why would we still have to pay for that? So those are arguments of impact organizations that we hear a lot, where they have a bit of an argument or misunderstanding with companies. Companies, on the other hand, often say, well, the social organizations don't have structure, or they're way too small, or, it's unclear what kind of impact we're making whilst we want to, communicate about the impact that we have. We need to wait a lot. It's going very slow. And again, why should we pay to volunteer? Before I dive into the challenges and hopefully the solutions. I would love to hear what your biggest challenge is of working together with impact organizations, or if you are an impact organization, what is your biggest challenge in working with a corporate organization? Again, you're free to share in the chat, or you're free to share it directly in the meeting. Just going to give you a few minutes to think about it. And maybe in the time that you think about it, Benedetta, what is your, as volontare, what is your, because you're a little bit in between, what do you see as the biggest challenge?
I think one of the biggest challenges is impact measurement, like because it's very difficult to measure it in the social sector, and also there is like so many causes and so many mathematics, so there is not one way to measure it. So this is a thing, and this leads to communication. So how really to show the impact of volunteers if you don't know the impact of the social project you work with.
Yeah.
So this is a big challenge. And yeah, here in Spain, we pretty understand that we have to pay for corporate volunteering because there is a lot of organization from the NGOs to have, especially for teams, for social team buildings or this kind of big activity, group activities.
Yeah.
I think this is not the case for professional or skill-based volunteering, because there you really got into the NGOs project and like respond to their really actual need. So these are a little bit what's our experience. I don't know what our NGOs and our companies here thinks about this.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else that has like a challenge in working together?
Well, I would say for us as a charity, some of the challenges that we face, probably one of the things would be the organization of the activity itself, because when it comes to agreeing on the time, usually, well, I'm not sure if all of them, but the timing is, well, they don't. Well, they are not exactly the same, right? Because most of our activities with children, for example, they are in the afternoon after school, and perhaps the companies, they want to have the activity during working hours. So that's one of the challenges. But usually we reach an agreement. Something that I agree also with Benedetta would be the impact management. It doesn't mean that we don't have our measurements. We do have them, but sometimes perhaps companies are looking for something different. And then agreeing on the price tag, that's not always easy.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Nice. Anybody else?
I would agree with, everything that both Benedetta and Bernardo have pointed. I think for me, one thing that was a bit maybe surprising, I had lived abroad and moved to Spain and to this particular space last year, and I felt like the conversations with the different nonprofits were based on expectations that were, I felt, pretty transactional. We organize this volunteering for you and we charge you for it, or you make a donation and it's something that it's good for the image of the company, and we give you a certificate once a year. And it seemed to me like shifting that conversation to, we feel like a company like ours can have a role to play in trying to move forward towards SDGs. We're one type of partner. We like to work with another type of partner. And we feel like we can have a conversation about what kind of impact do we want to try to achieve jointly. And I think it was surprising how trying to shift the conversation in that direction didn't necessarily come naturally. There were certain ways of talking, companies and nonprofits that were more, like I say, a bit more transactional. But I think it's an interesting and exciting process to try to shift that conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else? Right. Oh, that was too fast. We had a customer partner meetup end of November last year, and we exactly spoke about these different things. We invited all our corporate organizations, and we invited all our societal impact organizations, or at least most of them. And it was really an interesting conversation. It was very inspiring to see them in the same room, being mixed up in groups, and really think about how can we work better together, how can we make more impact. And we had like 5 learnings, challenges and learnings actually from that day that I would really want to share with you. So we discovered that we don't always speak the same language. So working on a shared language and rules is really, really important. Besides that, and I'll dive in each of one deeper in a minute. Also sustainable partnerships. So looking at a long-term partnership, really partnership, I mentioned specifically. So not so much, okay, I need 5 volunteers and here you go, but really what are we as a corporate X and a social organization A, what are we gonna achieve together in the upcoming years? So sustainable partnership. And then expertise where it counts. So let's make sure that that we understand what kind of skills a social organization needs and what corporate can facilitate those skills, and especially put them where they can make the greatest impact, of course. And then the 4th is really transformative experiences. So not only just going to volunteer and paint the wall of a community center. What are we going to do there? What is the impact that we're making with painting that wall? Who is using that community center? Understanding a little bit what it is that you do when you go volunteering, and understand the impact that you're making for the target group that you work with. And then the last is, of course, that impact measurement that you already mentioned as well. A more unified impact measurement, one way of registering, one way of reporting, and one way of measuring. If we then look at the first one, shared languages, we really believe, and I say we as GoodUp, but also I speak now a little bit more from that group of customers and organizations, is that it helps a lot to set the right expectations for both parties. So really try to align on goals and roles, ownership, who's going to make what decision when. So what are we going to do together, and know that is clear for both parties. It seems like really simple, but often for whatever reason in the busy times that we're in, it's a step that got forgotten, and you're more like, okay, I now need volunteers and I now want to send volunteers. But a clear alignment on what do you want to do together is really really important, and also have that realistically scheduled in timelines, right? So to see if there is enough NGO capacity available to be able to receive all those volunteers, and also understand from a corporate, like what are the cycles. A lot of corporates have like community weeks or global months of service where they really boost volunteering, especially in consultancy firms or in insurance companies where a whole year round it's very busy, but there are a few moments in the year where it's slightly less busy, and then they try to push that volunteering through. It is very handy if the NGO also knows that and can anticipate on that. Be transparent over costs. Also really important from the impact organizations. Just be honest, transparent on what does it cost and why does it cost what it costs. You know, you need to coordinate, you need to have staff, you need to make sure that things are prepared. That is all resources, and you are allowed to give that transparency and to show that to the organization that is sending the volunteers. And have that shared definition of success. So what do you want the outcome to be, and agree on that. And then again, accountability, of course. So who is doing what? Who is communicating with the volunteer? Is that the corporate? Is that the social impact organization? If you have that all worked out before you start collaborating, that helps a lot. And then sustainable partnerships. I think that is one of the most nice ones. I've seen quite some customers investing a lot in certain NGOs that are very close to their strategic pillars, for example, or the impact that they want to make. I've learned that corporates really want to make impact, but they want to make impact in more or less their core business. So if it's a bank, they want to do something on financial health. If they are a company like Mars, they want to do something on healthy nutrition and mental health. If you are a Deloitte, for example, they want to make an impact on the generations to come, on the labor market, on wise ways to choose your profession, etc. So that is what they also expect from NGOs, to think along. If you think, hey, we are a social organization and we focus on education, then yeah, maybe a consultancy firm is way more interesting than a food company. So then you can really find that common impact wish and focus on that. And really make objectives. What are we gonna reach over the next 2 years or the next 3 years? What does the company want, and what is the wish or the mission or the vision of the impact organization, and see where that is the same, and make a plan on that, so you can also report later back on that impact. We really think that fewer partners, deeper relationship, and a mutual commitment is a recipe for a more transformative volunteering, as we call that. And of course, it gives you also the ability to scale. If you, with the first 2-3 partnerships, you really invest time in how to set up and build that relationship, then the next that come on board, you can just follow that same growing or that same partnership model to grow your impact. Expertise. So that is, we know that skill-based volunteering is something that is really, really wanted from the corporate organizations. They want people to use their skills. What we also see now is that a lot of companies use it as a development of skills as well. So not only, oh, I am very good in legal in legal and tax benefits, for example, so I'm gonna use my expertise in that. But you can also learn from volunteering. So you can also say, you know, I want to develop my coaching skills, and therefore I'm gonna sign up for a mentoring program. So you can also use that both ways. Not only this is my skill and I'm going to use it for a volunteer job, but also let people grow and develop those skills maybe differently than on the work floor, but in a more social context. That's really motivating for employees as well. And make sure that you know exactly what an organization needs. So just don't send like 100 skills whilst they maybe only need coachings or mentoring skills, for example. And again, fewer activities, but maybe of more quality, and therefore also stronger outcomes and better, or like more impacts that you can measure. The fourth point is transformative experiences. So we all know what volunteering is in the football club of our kids, or, you know, at the school, which is fantastic, really great. But we also noticed that if you know a little bit more about where am I going, which people are I'm going to help, why is it important that we do this, understanding what the impact organization is, what their mission is, why it's important that they exist, and you actually have a role in that as volunteer, it makes that people are way more loyal, way more intrinsically motivated to join and to join again. And so you all also notice that, and I'm sure Voluntare has lovely documents on that. So the volunteer journey. So if somebody starts volunteering, we call that a little bit a tourist because he's just checking out what he would like to do. But if you have a bit more volunteer experience, you become really a traveler. So you know what you want to do, and you become really intrinsically motivated on a certain cause that you really want to connect to. And that is just, it brings people out of their bubbles and shows them a part of the world that they maybe normally don't experience, which makes you grow as a person, but also which makes you more energetic and more loyal as an employee back to your company, because in the end it's your boss or your company that gives you the opportunity to do that. And then that impact measurement. So we already talked about that. If we have a single way of registering volunteering, donations, and initiatives, we're all reporting on the same thing. It's comparable then as well across teams or across partners or even across programs. And it gives you the right data that you might use for your ESG or CSRD reporting, and even for internal decision making. So if you have clear data, and you can use that for some argumentation on doing things differently, that is very helpful. Yeah, just looking at the time, 1:45. Oh, excellent. All right, just gonna stop talking again for a bit. Just see your faces, see if you have any questions or things that you recognize or things that you think, oh, that's interesting. Didn't think about that. Anything that you would like to share?
I thought it was a very useful overview, and there were a number of elements that I think are helping us fill in some gaps in our own thinking. So thank you very much. I was wondering if this element of skill development of employees, if you've got any examples of best practices as to how that's done. Is it self-reported? Is there anything a bit more extensive than that? Just curious.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, we have a few customers that really focused on that. So, and that is mainly from an HR perspective, of course. So we have a customer in the Netherlands that is using the skills to really develop. So they developed 12 overarching skills in the company. So they call that their skill set, and you can they come back in their personal development plans and in your yearly evaluation. And there are different ways that you can develop on these skills. Of course, the normal trainings and the educational program that a lot of companies offer in their case as well. But in their development plans, they've also added the CSR program. So each skill-based activity that's on the site is linked to one of those 12 skills. And then you can develop that, and then when you get the invitation for your yearly review, also in the form that you then need to fill on where you worked on, what you developed, what you did good, or what you still need to improve, there is a point that says, did you develop any of these skills via the CSR program? And then elaborate on what you did and how you developed that skill actually. So that is a very concrete, but that is an organization that is quite far and has very motivated HR people as part of the team. So that is the best example that I have.
That sounds like a
Um,
gold standard.
yeah, that's a
Yeah,
gold
it
that's a
is.
gold standard. Yeah, that's a gold standard. But what we still see in the biggest part of our customers, that is still really something that HR is not completely embraced yet. But I think it's fantastic. I always give this example because it really, first of all, it really motivates employees. They love to learn on a different way than the typical courses that you can follow, which are also great. Don't get me wrong, but this is different. It's stepping out of your comfort zone and developing a skill with like a vulnerable target group that in your normal day-to-day job you're not confronted with. So it's a different way of learning, and I think it's a very impactful way of learning. So I always try to boost organizations to do that, to pull in somebody of HR and to at least get those conversations started.
Yeah. If you want, I can also add, like from our experience, both from voluntary side, we did like several years ago now a study to measure the skills development through corporate volunteering, and we measured that it's starting with 20 hours project that we really can see and measure and report like a skill development. So we had different case studies and different measurement, and this is what we found out. And we now apply corporate volunteering to develop professional skills with some companies. With our Volles head, we developed a new program called Tu Desarrollo Suma. IBM is on it, and they will train different skills through these 20 hours volunteering activities, both with prisoners in jails and with communities association. And we will measure the skill before and after the project, really to check and monitor the impact of the activity.
Yeah, great. That's very nice, Benedetta. It's a really nice way to get that, to develop your skills in that way. Yeah, lovely. Any other questions or Anna Maria?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've got a question. If you have any recommendation to maintain and keep the staff motivated to participate. I like the idea to show the skills development, but any other advice? Because what happened to us, we are starting to do volunteering activities the last quarter because the area is starting to grow. So in the first activity, we had 30 people participating, cleaning the beach, etc. And then in our last activity, last December, we had to organize what's the name, like markets and quality check of the toys to donate, and the participation was very low, only 9 people. So it was like quite shocking, if it's the correct way to say. And I would like to, I don't know how to keep motivated the team and to I don't know, get more people involvement from other departments.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good question, and that's a continuous battle, right? To get people joining activities because just for one big reason, people are always busy, and it's never business critical volunteering. So we see that a lot. People are always overwhelmed with everything that they need to do, and it's hard to get them to return. What we think is what I always recommend is that you need to look at your year and see. I don't know exactly what kind of business you're in, but look at your year and see where the more slow periods are in your year. And what really works very well is if you concentrate your communication on specific moments in the year. Because if you communicate like every week or every month, like, hey, you should volunteer, join this, join that, then it could be that people in a certain moment think, okay, I see this communication all the time, and then it's not triggering anymore. So if you have 2 points in the year where you organize, for example, really a volunteer week, or you organize something around 1 or 2 or 3 partner organizations that you really put in the spotlight. You highlight why they're important, what their mission is, and then combined with a few volunteer opportunities. That helps often better than to expect that people volunteer year round, because that's just way more complicated. That is one. And two, is that we try to work with a year calendar. So we try to see, there's so much going on in a year, right? You have Earth Month, and you have a Pride Week, and you have Mental Health Month, or there's so many topics that have attention already in the media, or by national campaigns, for example. Try to plug into these kind of campaigns that people already see in their normal daily life, in the media that they look at, and make sure that you tap into those kind of yearly moments that you think, okay, it's Earth Day in April, let's organize something around that, because we as a company would like to organize a cleanup, and we would like to organize a challenge, and we maybe have a partner organization that comes in the lunch hour for a lunch and learn, for example. So you use elements of something that is already, in the media anyway, and you show to your employees that you actually, think it's important, and bring it under the attention of them. So that is a second idea. And then the third is what I mentioned earlier. If people have a fantastic first experience volunteering, so if it's really a little bit more from the perspective of transformative volunteering, people really learn about it, they have a great day, everything is well organized, and they feel really like they made a difference, and you can reach that by really making sure that the activities is good organized. People learn about the partner organization, there's time to reflect, you learn about the target group, then you have a higher chance that people come back for a second time, and even third, and even fourth, because you touch them, and you made them intrinsically motivated, and these people will then also come back. It's an illusion to think that you will have 100% engagement, because that will never be the case. And that can also help in your idea of, are we successful or not? There are a lot of nice stats, and I think Benedetta, you also have it in your knowledge base, about how every sector of corporates is doing in terms of engagement. And I think generically we can say that most of the engagement is between 23 and 27% of your employee base. So the fact that you don't have everybody engaged, that's okay, as long as you reach the people that really want to. And you need to set your own targets. Say, what is successful? What does that mean for us as a company? When do we think that our volunteer program is successful? Is that when we reach 65% engagement? Okay, but then you need to have a lot of resources and a lot of campaigns, and you really need to make that work. But if you say, no, we wanna reach a quarter of our company, then you also have a bit more space to breathe. And focus on real partnerships and high quality volunteer opportunities.
Petra, sorry, what was that statistic again? What was the one that you mentioned of 20-some%?
Engagement. So there's a very nice slide deck, I think of Goodira, And they did all these market investigations. So, for example, the food industry, banking, insurance, electricity companies. And they measured the amount of engagement on a yearly basis among their employees. And really, these engagement statistics don't differ that much. But you see, for example, that insurance companies and banking companies, consultants score often higher than companies like food, because they have also a lot of factories or plants, and there it's always harder to engage people, because they cannot just leave the factory to go volunteering. So that needs a whole different organization. But it's interesting to also see how you score yourself versus the benchmark.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 3 minutes left. Any other urgent questions? All right.
It was great. Thank you so much, Petra, and thank you to Volies and Benedetta for organizing.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you so much. We can send the presentation to you, so you can just read it a little bit in your own time again. And yeah, feel free to reach out if you have more questions, or you would like to have a coffee or a chat. We're always happy to do so.
Thank you very much, Petra. Thank you all for
Thank you
being
very
here.
much.
Thank you so much.
We will
Thank
share the
you.
presentation, also the recording of the webinar. So thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
Benedetta. Thank
Bye.
you, Petra.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a lovely afternoon.
Bye bye.
Bye.
You
Take
too.
care. You too.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.